In 2013, Disney released Frozen, triggering a cultural tidal wave. Finding a household with a young child that didn't have merchandise from the film was almost impossible. The Madonia family, living in a standard residential neighborhood in Houston, Texas, was no exception. They were an entirely ordinary family, caught up in a very ordinary trend. For Christmas that year, their young daughter received exactly what millions of other children asked for: a mass-produced Elsa doll. Press a button, and it played the movie's signature song in English. The toy functioned normally for years, but by December 2019, the batteries finally began to fail. Instead of simply dying and going silent, the toy's programming started to fracture. The buttons stopped working altogether. The dolls ceased playing English audio and switched exclusively to Spanish. More unnervingly, it began to activate on its own, projecting a distorted Spanish voice from the corner of the room in the dead of night. Faced with a malfunctioning, heavily degraded electronic device that was actively disturbing the house, the family did the highly logical thing. They tossed it into the outdoor trash bin. We condition ourselves to believe that throwing something away is a permanent action. The true breakdown in our sense of safety happens when domestic waste ignores that rule, and the things we discard find a way back inside. Weeks passed without incident. The garbage had long been collected, and the family had completely forgotten about the malfunctioning toy. Then, during a quiet evening in the living room, they noticed a strange noise coming from a closed wooden bench. When they lifted the lid, they found the exact same plastic doll sitting quietly inside. Emily Madonia immediately assumed her children were playing a crude prank, but the children were visibly terrified. They swore they hadn't gone near the outside bins, and their genuine fear made it clear they weren't lying. Here is the anomaly. We have the exterior disposal bin and a closed bench inside the living room. To travel between these points, an object would have to extract itself, navigate the yard, bypass locked doors, and manually lift a heavy lid. Without human intervention to bypass those physical barriers, the mechanics of a prank fall apart entirely. The object had breached the secure perimeter of their home. Emily escalated her disposal method. She tightly wrapped the doll in 2 thick garbage bags, placed it at the absolute bottom of their main trash bin, and buried it under a week's worth of heavy household refuse. On garbage day, a municipal truck arrived and mechanically emptied the bin into its compactor. Emily watched it happen. The container was completely void. Needing to clear their heads, the family took a short vacation out of town. They left with the relief of knowing the item was physically miles away, crushed in a city dump. When they returned to Houston and walked into their backyard, they found the doll sitting perfectly upright in the middle of the grass. Waste flows one way, from residential bin to compactor to city landfill. The object reversed this entire chain. It extracted itself from a compacted landfill, navigated miles of infrastructure, and returned to the exact same property. Surviving municipal-scale destruction requires a mechanism of return that defies standard physics. The family had exhausted all rational explanations. The sheer impossibility of the situation broke their private containment. The story reached KPRC2 Houston News, turning the family's nightmare into a public spectacle. Emily implemented a final, desperate containment protocol. If local municipal destruction failed, she would utilize the federal mail system to completely remove the object from their geography. She packed the toy into a sealed box, covered it in layers of tape, and shipped it to a trusted friend living over 1,500 miles away in the isolated cold of Minnesota. Upon receiving the package, the friend refused to bring it inside his house. He immediately wrapped the plastic body in heavy steel chains and secured it with layers of industrial duct tape. He then bolted the entire restrained mass directly to the front steel bumper of his truck. He designed a system where the object would remain permanently trapped under his constant visual surveillance. Since that final exile in 2020, the containment protocol has held. The object has not found a way to bridge the 1,500 miles back to the Madonia household in Texas, but it leaves behind a chilling realization. Is heavily bagging an object, crushing it in a garbage truck, and dumping it in a landfill cannot guarantee its removal from your life. you have to ask yourself if you truly have any control over the things you invite into your home.